Welcome to ACBL Endless Summer Regional Mini Lesson Series. Our topic today is Lead on Macguff. So let's get started. We're going to look at some number rules that can be used by defenders. And the cool thing about these number rules is you don't need a regular partner to work them into your defensive goals. So first thing, let's say you're sitting on lead. Now, let me say, these number rules will help your defense from the opening lead to the middle of the hand to towards the end of the hand. Tricks 10, 11, 12, when you're trying to figure out what to discard, these number rules will help there too. We're going to focus in this mini lesson on opening leads and how the number rules help you as defender on opening lead. Now, first thing you do in your defensive checklist is to review the auction. Lots of clues go on in the auction. One of the things that you want to think about is whether you want to have a passive defense or an aggressive defense. And that starts with the opening lead. Sometimes it's not until third hand and you see dummy that you can tell whether it needs to be a passive or an aggressive lead. But using your number rules that we're going to discuss here, you will be able to have a general idea of whether you want a passive defense or an aggressive defense. Now, what does that mean? Passive defenses are ones that you read about or you study, you take classes on. Those are lead your partner's bid suit, lead top of touching, lead fourth best, right? Passive defensive leads are the fundamental leads. Aggressive leads are ones that you break all the rules. You lead aces without kings. Sometimes you lead double tens. Sometimes you lead single tens, right? They're very aggressive in that they're doing what's not normal, right? It's against the norm. So how do you tell? Well, it's based on the number of high card points your partner holds, right? You're going, okay, how do I figure that out? Well, good thing you came to this mini lesson because that's where the defender's number rules come in to play. So let's talk about the theory behind it. I always talk about theory behind everything that I teach to help us remember why we're even doing it. All right. So the theory behind the defender's number rules is that there's 40 high card points in the deck. Right. And the declaring side's high card points is based on their auction. Right. If they had a strong auction to game, or they had just a part score auction, or maybe they had an invitational auction, or maybe they had a weak auction to game, or perhaps even they were pushed to the level that they were on, right? So they're talking to each other. And as defender, you're listening to what they're saying to determine how many high card points they have between them. And you subtract that from 40, because once again, there's 40 high card points in the deck. And then the remaining number of high card points is what your partnership as defense has. So you count your high card points up in your hand, subtract it from that number, and that tells you the approximate number of high card points your partner holds. If your partner holds less than 4 high card points, approximately less than 3 or 4 high card points, you want to consider a passive opening lead, a passive defense. All right, so let's take a look at these number rules. 3 common ones that we're going to look at. Number rule of 14. It's when the declarer is in game. So they've bid to 3 no trump, they've bid to 4 hearts, they've bid to 4 spades. As defender, assume they are holding 26 high card points. Now, could they have 24? Could they have 28? Of course they could, but you don't know. Your starting point, in other words, is going to be 26. So 40 high card points minus 26 leaves the defender's side with 14. Then add up the high card points in your hand, subtract from 14, and that leaves you the approximate number of high card points your partner has. Do this on every defensive hand you play, right? Whether or not your partner's over here doing it, right? This is for your game, and fun things will start happening in the middle of the defense, in the middle of the hand, and you figure it out because you know how many high card points your partner started with. Okay, rule of 17. That's when the declaring side has an invitational auction, say to 2 no trump or any 3-level denomination, right? Perhaps 1 no trump pass, 2 no trump, all pass. You heard an invitation to game, and then the partnership stopped below game. There you assume the declaring side has 23 high card points, approximately. Subtract from 40, and then you are subtracting your high card points from 17 to figure out what your partner holds. All right, rule of 19. Rule of 19 is when the declaring side is in part score. So they didn't even invite. Maybe it went 1 no trump, all pass, or 1 heart pass, 2 hearts, all pass, right? Nobody tried to move towards game. And so you subtract their 21, approximately 21 high card points from 40, and that leaves your side approximately 19. Count your high card points up, subtract from 19, and voila, you know how many high card points approximately your partner holds. First review the auction, then do your number rule. We're working through the defender's checklist. Now, fine-tuning the level. Let's do some comparison here. Let's look at this top left box over here. The auction goes 1 heart by north, pass, 3 hearts by south, all pass. Now let's say that they're playing that 3 heart bid as an invitational, say like 11 to 12-ish total points, and then north passed. North wasn't interested in bidding 4 hearts. Well, then you're subtracting from the rule of 17. Subtract your high card points from 17, and that tells you the approximate number of high card points your partner holds in determining whether to have a passive or aggressive defense. In comparison, let's look at this box to the right here. 1 heart by north, 1 spade by east, 2 hearts by south, 2 spades by west, pass, pass, 3 hearts by south, all pass. Now you have to listen to the auctions carefully and ask yourself, how did the partnership get to the final contract? In the box on the left, they freely bid to 3 hearts and showed invitational values with South's bid to 3 hearts. South's bid in the box on the right, South was pushed there. If West hadn't bid 2 spades, the partnership would have stopped in 2 hearts, right? So don't get tricked and subtract your high card points from 17 going, oh, well, they're at the 3 level, so of course it's from 17. No, you have to watch how did they get to that final contract. And here they were pushed. South didn't magically find more points. South showed a minimum hand, a 6 to 10 total point hand when they bid 2 hearts, right? They didn't go, oh, wait, hold on, I've got 11 to 12, let me bid 3 hearts here. They bid 3 hearts based on the law of total trump. They have an extra trump in their hand. They don't have extra points. So as defenders, subtract your high card points from 19, and that gives you the approximate number of high card points your partner has to determine, are you going to have a passive or an aggressive lead? In the bottom left box, North opens 1 heart, South bids 2 hearts, and North bids 4 hearts. This is what we call a free bid to game. They weren't pushed there. North has extra values, and so the defenders are subtracting from 14. Now, both defenders can do this. It's just the opening leader is going to use the answer for the opening lead, the first lead. Third hand is also subtracting their high card points from their number rule to figure out how many high card points the opening leader has. Now, in comparison, on the right, bottom right, North opens 1 heart and South bids 4 hearts. Now, South's 4 heart bid is our weak freak bid, right? South has a weak hand with 5 or more trump. So they didn't freely bid to 4 hearts. No one showed extra values. So as defender, you're going to be subtracting from 19. So first up on the checklist is review the auction, because that helps you determine how they got there. And then the next step on your checklist is to subtract from your number rule based on the final contract. Now I want to show you a couple of hands, and we'll have the auction because we're going to be reviewing the auction as defender and then choosing the opening lead based on the number rule. All right, so let's take a look at hand number 1, and here's our auction. Listen carefully. You're sitting in South's chair, you're in Rhodey's chair, and you're listening to the auction. East opens up 1 heart. South passes. West bids 2 no trump, which is Jacoby 2 no. West is showing 4 or more trump with an opening hand, interest in perhaps slam in hearts, and wants East, the opening bidder, to further describe their hand. North passes and East comes back and bids 4 hearts. Now 4 hearts says, hey partner, I've got no singleton, I've got no void, and I have 12 to 14 total points. Well, it goes all pass. So let's think like South. Let's think like the defender, and without seeing partner's hand, let's think like defender and start with the review of the auction. 1 heart by East, 2 no trump by West, 4 hearts by East. And so from South's perspective, the declaring side freely bid to game. So we're going to be using the number rule of 14. All right, so let's add up South's points. We've got 1 point in hearts and 9 points in spades and 2 points in clubs. So we've got 12. Then South subtracts 12 from 14, and that leaves North, partner, with approximately 2 high card points. Well, then we go through our checklist. First up on the checklist versus a suit contract is a singleton lead. All right, so we put that 5 of diamonds up on our forehead and we say, we're going to lead this singleton unless one of the exceptions applies. And the first exception is based on the number rule. If you're thinking about leading a singleton and you figure out that partner is very unlikely to have an ace or a king in their hand, an entry, in other words, then a singleton lead is not your best strategy. Your best strategy is to continue on the checklist, which would be to lead your partner's bid suit. Well, partner didn't bid a suit. So then you continue down the list, which is top of touching honors. And that gets you to the ace of spades. Now we can see the dummy. And what I want to do is show you all the cards and look at this from declarer's perspective. Now, East is the master hand, the long trump hand, and West is the cover card hand. So we're counting losers from East's hand. I would count no heart losers, with the king of hearts being in West's hand. I would count 3 spade losers. In the diamonds, there's potentially 1 diamond loser, the queen of diamonds. If you say it depends, then it's a loser. And then no losers in clubs. Well, on the lead of the ace of spades, the defense is going to take their 3 spade tricks. And then South is still going to be on lead. And even though it's not trick 1, South still wants to avoid the diamond lead because they know partner has very few points in their hand. Now take a look at North's hand. North has 3 high card points here. That was within our approximately 2 high card point decision down here based on the rule of 14. If South ever leads a diamond for declare, it takes the guess away. At this point, when the defense takes the first 3 spades, if South exits out passively, right, because we want a passive defense, most likely a passive defense lead at this point would be a heart. Leading a club through the ace jack, that can be just as dangerous, especially away from your queen of clubs. So after cashing 3 rounds of spades, South would exit a heart. Just passive. Put declare on lead, make declare play the hand. Well, declare is going to pull trump. Declare can cash their 2 club tricks, but now declare is on a guess for the queen of diamonds to make the hand. Now some declarers will guess the queen of diamonds correctly and make the hand after all, but South didn't make it easy on them. South required declarer to guess the queen of diamonds to make the hand because South didn't lead the diamond. Just to recap, right? Working through the checklist, let's take a look at South's hand again. And South is thinking, okay, the declaring side bid freely to game. So I'm subtracting my high card points from 14, holding 12 high card points. That leaves my partner with approximately 2 high card points. So a passive lead is called for. Now, leading that 5 of diamonds, singleton leads top of the checklist against a suit contract. You lead that singleton unless one of the exceptions applies. And the first exception is based on the number rule, you know partner has less than 4 high card points. Unlikely to have in lead. Now, what's the logic behind that, right? I tell you, I'd like to talk about logic behind rules, right? The logic is the only person that's going to give South a rough, right, in the diamond rough is going to be partner. And if partner has no entry, partner can't give South a rough. Meanwhile, by leading the singleton, if partner is long in the suit, which is odds, you're likely to find a card in your partner's hand that perhaps declarer might misguess on down the road. Number rule of 14 in this example helps us know to avoid the singleton lead and start with our top of touching. All right, let's take a look at hand number 2. And we're sitting South again. We're sitting in Rhodey's chair and we're looking at the auction. And here's the auction. East opens 1 spade. South passes. And West bids 2 no trump again, that Jacoby 2 no convention, showing 4 more spades and game going values, interest in slam, asking East, in this case, the opening bidder, to further describe their hand. North passes and East rebids 3 no trump. Now, that 3 no bid is alertable. It says I have a balanced or semi-balanced hand, and I have 15 to 17 total points. Now, logic tells us that if they were balanced with 15 to 17, they would have opened 1 no trump. Generally, we usually open, even with a 5-card major, we open 1 no trump. So in this particular auction, it would show a semi-balanced hand. So what does that mean? That means they have 2 doubletons. They don't have any voids. They don't have any singletons. And so most likely they have a 5-4-2-2 shape. That would be a semi-balanced hand. Could be 6-3-2-2. Semi-balanced. South passes and West bids up to 4 spades. And it goes all pass. All right, so we're sitting in Rhodey's chair. We've heard our declaring side bid freely to game. So Rhodey's using the rule of 14 once again. And let's count up the high card points. We have 4 high card points in hearts and 5 in clubs and 4 in diamonds, which is 13. Subtract 13 from 14, and that leaves approximately 1 high card point. Oh my, this is going to be an uphill battle for the defense. So now South is thinking, okay, first on the checklist is a singleton lead. Don't have that. Second on the checklist is partners bid suit. Don't have that. Third on the checklist is top of touching honors. Don't have that. Next on the checklist is potentially a trump lead. Now there's 2 situations where we lead trump. One is when we know partner doesn't have very many points based on our number rule, right? And North has approximately 1 high card point. And all of our combination suits are too dangerous to lead from, right? If partner has no queens or aces or kings, right? Leading away from our king, jack of hearts, going to give up a trick, right? Leading away from our ace, jack, 5 of clubs, or cashing our ace of clubs is going to set up the king, queen of clubs, right? Leading away from our king, jack of diamonds. it's going to give declare a trick. A passive defense, a passive lead is called for based on the number rule of 14, which means don't lead away from your stuff when you know your partner doesn't have very many points. And that leads you to the trump. Now, anytime you're leading trump, just lead a low trump. In this case, lead the 5 of spades. Now, I want to show all the hands so that you can see from declarer's perspective what that does. If South had led a heart, let's go back and undo and lead a heart. It would go, they could play the 9 of hearts. Partner would be there with their 10 of hearts. Look at partner's hand. We said approximately 1 high card point. And declarer would win the queen, right? Now declarer is going to be able to play, well, they would pull some trump, but they would be able to play ace of hearts and trump their hearts out. And South would never get a heart. They lose their heart by leading the heart. Now let's go back and cash our ace of clubs. Well, cashing aces without kings often give up tricks. On this particular hand, you would actually be okay because now the king, queen of clubs is on your left. Odds are the clubs are split and you've just given declarer a trick. By setting up the clubs, however, declarer can now discard a diamond away and be able to trump and have no diamond losers, not even have to take a finesse, right? So it's a timing thing. Leading a diamond, well, if we were to lead a diamond, we'd lead the jack of diamonds. This is actually a safe lead because declarer can take this finesse anyway, right? And then lose no diamonds, but you don't know that. We could easily switch. Let's go back to the jack of diamonds and say that we switch the queen to east hand, right? Well, if we leave the jack of diamonds, now declarer gets to play low around to the queen and we lose our diamond trick, right? Just as we could swap the clubs and the ace of clubs could be a bad lead. So all of our suits are too dangerous to lead. And that leads us to one of our 2 reasons to lead a trump. All right, thank you for joining me for Lead on Macduff, ACBL Endless Summer Regional Mini Lesson Series. If you have any questions, you can find me at donna@playbetterbridge.com. I also suggest you go visit our YouTube channel, Play Better Bridge YouTube channel. We've got lots of mini tips, mini bridge tips there. And I have a full 5-year curriculum at my playbetterbridge.com website. Again, thank you for joining me and have a great tournament.